you're probably like most people, including me, when I first started this, in that by not having really good organization with my money and every detail out laid
Yep.
out, the chaos eats these dollars for breakfast.
So, it's the end of the month, and Peter just received his $2,000 paycheck. Sure, he planned to put some bucks into his savings, but just after a few hours of snooping around, he was down to $1,100. After all, new shoes, new outfits, and dinner at a fancy restaurant in 2024 doesn't come cheap. But is it sustainable? Knowing the best ways to manage your money is harder than most experts make it seem. So today, we're going to walk you and Peter through a step-by-step guide on the things you need to do with your money as soon as you receive your paycheck. So guys, when it comes to money management, the first and most crucial step that both you and Peter need to take is setting up a financial foundation. You see, while many people find personal finance to be a rather daunting task, the truth of the matter is that neglecting this foundational step is the number one reason why most people struggle to make ends meet.
But let's be real clear here. The debt is not because of inflation. The debt is because and refuse to cut your freaking lifestyle to offset inflation.
And guess what? It's a big issue, eating deep into the fabric of our society. In a 2023 survey organized by payroll.org, it was found that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, marking a 6% increase from the previous year. So this means that 3 out of 4 random Americans face difficulty saving or investing after covering their monthly expenses. And no, it's not a hex. 2 of the biggest reasons why most Americans still live paycheck to paycheck are this. First, they commit the biggest financial mistake in psychology, mentally estimating their finances instead of physically putting them down in writing.
And so a written budget, a detailed budget, will make you feel like you've gotten a raise.
The second reason, however, was actually coined by financial guru Dave Ramsey himself. He believes that people make terrible preparations for surprise expenses. Think of it this way. Let's say Peter's cell phone or car developed a fault before his next paycheck. In that situation, you wouldn't expect him to wait until he got paid again, right? So what is the solution? Making use of his credit card instead of his emergency savings is detrimental in the long run. That's why Peter needs to take control of his situation by proactively taking into account all of his monthly expenses. Without it, Peter will never be able to do any of these things.
Live on less than you make. So you have a plan, you avoid debt, you save money for emergencies and later for investing.
But just because we said it had to be written down doesn't mean it has to be in a book. Technology is rapidly advancing, and you can track your finances by putting all of your income and expenditures in a Google Sheet. Once done, the next thing that Peter needs to do is immediately delete the expenses that he can do without. So yeah, that means no more gym subscriptions that he never uses, no more regular takeouts, new clothing, shoes, and all that other unneeded stuff. After taking his sweet time to introspect, Peter should be left with only a few crucial expenses in the form of needs. We're talking about his feeding, housing, mortgage, those kinds of things. But speaking of housing, whenever you're making your list of expenses, you might want to keep housing under 30%, with food and groceries being around 10%. Things like insurance, internet, electricity, and mobile utilities can also be around 10%, ensuring that in your financial foundation, the bare minimum you need to survive every month is under 50% of your total income. If it's over, look for expenses that you can easily replace with cheaper alternatives, like thrifting. Neither you nor Peter really need new clothes and appliances each month, so getting a cost-effective alternative can make a world of difference. In any case, keeping expenses under 50% of your total income and knowing your financial foundation will keep both Peter and you in an amazing position to take the next step, having emergency funds. Remember when we told you that your preparation for surprise expenses could be your biggest financial undoing? No matter how stable your life is, never forget the possibility that things can go wrong. In Peter's case, it could be something as simple as his laptop getting bad, or worse, a deterioration of health. Both of these situations would require money to fix, and if he is badly prepared, he will have to pull out his credit card or borrow from someone else, further plunging him into debt. Research indicates that up to 56% of Americans lack the financial means to cover any unexpected $1,000 expense, while 22% don't have any emergency fund whatsoever. So if you're like Peter, who doesn't have any idea what an emergency fund should look like, the important thing for you to note is that it should be robust enough to cover up to 6 months of your financial foundation. If it's, say, $2,500 every month, then you need to have saved $15,000 for emergencies for genuine crisis, like fixing your crucial stuff, not frivolous things like nights out, vacations, or indulging in pineapple pizza cravings. But before we go into the next step, let's talk about how to maximize your emergency funds. Instead of putting it in a sock drawer or an investment account where it could fall in value in the short term, Dave Ramsey advises us to look at it as an insurance and not as an investment. The key is accessibility and security. So it should be liquid and saved in places like a simple savings account connected to your checking account, or an online bank that can pay both you and Peter a higher interest rate while having the flexibility to transfer money rapidly and directly into your checking account. So now that you and Peter know how to make a foundation and put up emergency funds, the next step is paying off your high-interest debts. As sad as it may seem, 77% of American households have at least some type of debt. To address this, you might want to check this out.
Includes a record high $17 trillion consumer debt balance in America today.
It's grown so bad that many have become desensitized to it and even believe that it's only normal.
Debt has been so normalized in our culture that to even imagine living without it is unbelievable.
One of the worst things about debt is that it can severely restrict your monthly income, leaving you with little to save or invest. If Peter owes thousands of dollars in auto or student loans or even credit card debt, how will he ever be able to become rich? So this brings us to the burning question: how can he put an end to this gaping problem?
The way you get out of debt is not about math. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You have an I've had it moment where you say, that's it! I've had it!
As difficult as repayment can be, one of the best methods to handle debt is a method that Dave Ramsey calls the snowball method. Contrary to what you might think, this is a psychological method where you list out all of your loans and debt. But instead of focusing on the big bad wolves, you tackle the smallest loan amounts first, building your momentum and motivating you to keep going. But as an alternative, there is an avalanche method. For the uninitiated, this method involves paying off debts, starting with the highest interest rate first, while making minimum payments on all other debts. Using this, once Peter pays off the highest interest debt, he'll move on to the next highest interest debt, and so on, until all his debts are cleared. But it's worth adding that, due to the effect of compounding, this method will mathematically be the cheapest and most efficient way for Peter to pay off his loans. In any case, once you've cleared your high-interest debts, you'll have some breathing space in your monthly budget. However, before making any further moves, Peter will have to prioritize step number 4, which is thinking about long-term investments. When it comes to investing, one thing we've noticed is that people think of flashing screens and aggressive day trading. But the truth is that it doesn't have to be difficult. The fundamentals are pretty straightforward, and once you've grasped them, you can make millions over your lifetime. It all boils down to compound interest. Let's assume that Peter invests $10,000 in 100 shares of a random stock, each valued at $100. His strategy? To hold on to these shares for a year, anticipating a modest 7% annual rate of return. By the end of the first year, he'd made $10,700. But what if Peter injected an additional $500 into shares each month? This slight adjustment will transform his endgame significantly. Instead of $10,700, his investment will shoot up to $16,700. But instead of being impressed by short-term gains, let's say Peter decided to extend his investment to 5 years. With this same strategy of infusing an additional $500 monthly, did you know that his portfolio will be worth an impressive $48,530? Yeah, that's how crazy long-term investments can be when compounding is involved. Alas, there are 2 big problems when it comes to investing. First, no one can ever predict how well a market is going to perform. Even the biggest analysts make mistakes from time to time when it comes to market predictions, and this uncertainty can come with some risks. The second problem, however, is that even if you manage to withdraw from the market at a peak moment, timing when to reinvest is yet another challenge. So that's precisely why investing a fixed amount each month is often the best solution. And no, it doesn't matter whether it's going up or down. You see, if Peter consistently invests a fixed amount in stocks, he'll buy more shares when prices are low and fewer when prices are high, helping to average out his costs over time. For instance, if he invested $100 each month in a random XYZ stock, if shares were $10 in the first month, $5 in the second, and $20 in the third, he'd buy 10, 20, and 5 shares, respectively totaling 35 shares for $300, averaging $8.57 per share. This strategy, known as dollar cost averaging, helps mitigate the risk of buying at the highest or lowest points. That said, deciding where to invest first among taxable brokerage, 401k, IRA, and HSA accounts is absolutely crucial for Peter to maximize his returns while minimizing taxes. Our advice? Prioritize contributions to his 401k account first. This workplace retirement plan often offers matching contributions, effectively providing free money for him. You see, by contributing enough to meet the match, he will be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Allow us to demonstrate. If his annual income amounts to $60,000, his employer matches up to 3%. He will receive $1,800 in free money. Plus, contributing 10% of his income to his 401k could lower his taxable income to $54,000 during tax season. Moving on though, after Peter maxes out his employer match with his 401k, the next thing he needs to do is contribute it to a Roth IRA account. Why, you may ask? Unlike a 401k, where contributions are made with pre-tax dollars, in a Roth IRA, contributions are made with post-tax dollars. This means that Peter will pay taxes on his $60,000 salary before contributing to his Roth IRA. However, the advantage of a Roth IRA is that he won't have to pay taxes on any earnings in the account, and he will still be able to withdraw his contributions at any time without a penalty. So, while it's a retirement account, he has the flexibility to access his principal when needed. But before we talk about the next step, here's a short riddle for you. What's better than 1 well-paying job? Well, that's easy. 2 well-paying jobs. Now, let's consider Peter's situation. Sure, he's doing well with his current job, but imagine the possibilities if he added a second well-paying gig to the mix. Not only would it mean more money in his pocket, but it would also offer a safety net in case one job falls through. Plus, with the extra income, Peter could accelerate his savings, pay off debt faster, or even pursue those dream vacations he's been putting off. Simply put, having a side hustle isn't about just making extra cash. It's about creating more opportunities and financial security for Peter's future. But at the end of the day, don't forget that it all boils down to the opportunity cost, which basically means that the time he will spend doing something is time he won't spend on another. On Saturday, Peter might spend 3 hours mowing the lawn, trimming the hedges, and weeding the garden. But what if he spent those 3 hours working on a side gig instead? If he could earn $100 in 3 hours, he can hire someone to handle all his yard work for $30 to $40 while he invests his time into his side gig, possibly fetching him $70 in gross profits. The math speaks for itself, and as time goes on, he can invest his money, providing even more financial growth. So if you want to win like Peter, jot down the chores you detest the most, such as mowing the yard, weeding the garden, and even making that annoying drive to the supermarket to shop. Put down the amount of time it takes you to complete each activity and the amount of money you might be generating if you focused only on your side project rather than this one. Next, find out how much it would cost to assign the assignment to someone else. Combining all of this information helped determine if it was more cost-effective to continue doing things myself or hire someone else to do them. But hey, what if we told you that arguably the most important step for both of you to take is automating your savings? Ever heard of decision fatigue? Like many individuals, Peter has to juggle various responsibilities and decisions throughout the day. Managing his bills, saving for future goals, and making investment choices demand considerable time and mental effort. And this continuous decision-making process can lead to a phenomenon called decision fatigue, which is a phenomenon in psychology where the quality of decisions deteriorates as the day goes by. When managing finances manually, every bill payment, savings allocation, and investment decision requires quality time and brain power. And if Peter is not making these decisions at his best, he can make impulsive or regrettable decisions, like unnecessary purchases or neglecting important financial tasks. So you see, automating his finances offers a practical solution to this dilemma. By setting up a guideline automation, Peter can set up guidelines for his finances, saving both time and mental energy. By arranging for his paychecks to be automatically deposited into his checking account, Peter can then establish automatic transfers to allocate funds to his spending and savings account. This division ensures that essential expenses are covered, while surplus funds are systematically directed towards savings goals. Plus, with predetermined spending targets for non-essentials and automatic transfers of savings at the end of each month, Peter will still have the flexibility to effortlessly track his progress towards financial objectives, without the need for constant monitoring or intervention. This will ensure he stays on track with all his goals and provide peace of mind, long-term financial security, and wealth accumulation. What could be better than that?